Hello to all of my BPTV friends, YouTube friends, Facebook friends. I'm Alan Levine, the Talking Machine. I'm honored and blessed to be doing my 83rd The Talking Machine show. I have another great guest. Will you please introduce yourself?
Rick Steigerwalt.
Rick and I go back about 12, 13 years ago with amateur boxing and with the legendary Jimmy Cvetic. And Rick was everything from a Golden Gloves champ. He's from Northside, so I won't tell too much about that. We know how strong they are there in Northside for many reasons. And we did fights, and he was doing amateurs, he was doing pros, and he was all about the fighters. And we used to always say, look at Rick as stopping this or doing that. Smoking Jim and I would speak highly of how he had command in the ring. That's my intro. Where did you grow up?
I grew up on the north side of Pittsburgh, up by Perry High School, because I went to Perry. 219 Montana Street.
There we go.
I still remember my phone number, too.
No way. Tell it to us. No, never
412-931-4090.
That is great.
Yeah, I remember it, sure.
I love that. So where did you go to school so people know?
I went to Nativity Grade School on the north side, and then from there I graduated to Perry.
Okay.
From Nativity, and after that I went to, I milled around for a little bit working at different places. I worked at Dervaux building ships.
Okay.
You name it, I did. I was a garbage man for the city.
Really?
And then my dad kept saying, will you take the steam fitter test, because we're all steam fitters, you know?
And how long has your family been with steam
Since
fitters?
the beginnings, from day one. My grandpa's brother's Vic Steigerwalt was a charter member, and that's, I think, 114 years, 115 years.
Yeah.
1903, I think.
122.
Yeah. So
I can do math for you.
There we go.
No, that is great. I'm a third generation mailer for the mailing room that was Pittsburgh Press, Post-Gazette, Sun Telegraph, all the papers,
Right.
even the Pittsburgh Catholic newspaper.
Yeah.
They all worked there, and was a mailing room, last department to handle a paper.
The only reason we read the Pittsburgh Catholic was to make sure none of us was in the criminal section.
Nice. Well,
Because at one point, all five of them, there was 5 boys in my family. I'm the middle.
wow.
And at one point, we were all in a Catholic grade school. At one point, we were all
my goodness.
from 8th grade to kindergarten.
You're kidding.
Yeah, so my mom,
So your mom had to be the strongest
Mary
woman.
A, little Irish woman. So she decided to get a job in the cafeteria because she was getting called up there anyhow.
She was going to keep an eye on you.
She was getting called up there anyhow, between the
Wow.
5 of us, you know. So
Yeah.
that was kind of, for me, it was a relief, you know. I love my mom, and you know, my mom
May she
was,
rest in peace.
yes, she was my savior. I was just, for Easter, I went to the mausoleum, her, my dad, and
Yeah.
my older brother Paul, who was ex-Marine, or Marine, he was in the Marine Corps.
Right.
Back in 69.
Oh, wow. The
He
Vietnam
passed
War.
too in 2012.
Sorry
and
to
then,
hear
as you
that.
know, I had 2 brothers pass
Yeah.
in 23.
I know.
Within 3 months of each other. You
That
know?
was terrible.
And they were steam fitters too. One was older than me. He died of mesothelioma from us breathing the asbestos when they
Right.
said it wasn't going to bother us in the 60s and 70s. And my younger brother had respiratory problems too, mostly because he smoked a lot and
Yeah.
he was a welder, breathing them fumes.
Oh, I know welders, a lot of them died young.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah, you'll get some lung problems from that.
Well, your dad, he was there, so he told you, go down to the steam fitters. How old were you then?
So when I decided to get in, I was 24.
Okay.
Because I did a lot of things. I lived in Florida for a while. Like,
Yeah, you got around.
After my fight career, you know, I was doing a lot of things, including going to all the Super Bowls
Right.
And-
Those were the great days.
and not having a ticket.
well, that'll be a whole nother show. We'll do that. But no, my point is, I'm having you on because I have guests that inspire others. You didn't even think of college, did you?
So the funny thing about that was all our teachers in school in Perry, and I had some great teachers.
Yeah.
And it was not easy teaching back then because, you know, a lot of things were happening, including the riots. So it was very hard to see schools, which you probably know and read about,
I know.
or was involved.
Well, I witnessed it. Here's my story. My dad was a referee. He did City League championships.
There you go.
I saw 5th and Shenley
Yep.
in 1968. My dad was a Fifth Avenue graduate because
Yeah.
he lived on Pride Street where I was born in
Yeah.
56, right next to Mercy Hospital.
Yeah.
So I'm up there, I'm 12 years old, watching the game. I'm the only white kid there. They didn't have anybody else. And, I'm there, and my dad comes out. He's taking his sweaty jersey off. He goes, Alan, not everybody likes zebras. And he goes, they're riding outside. They're throwing bricks. They're beating up cars. Police are there. He goes, Alan, we got to run under the stands to the door. He grabs my arm, and I'm like, what's going on? I look out. They're beating on the windows. A policeman at the door goes, where are you going? He goes, that station wagon there. He goes, be safe. They're throwing stuff around. We
I went through it every day. 4 years of high school, I went through it every day. And then in the fight game, too. We've had to get, I fought in Hill District at the Center Avenue Y 3 times. We had to get a police escort out of there. We had to get a police escort out of St. Joe's in Manchester. And Ormsby, when I did the city rec tournament for boxing over in Ormsby, Southside.
Right, in Manchester, the Post-Gazette had an inserting plant in Manchester next to the river there, right near the Port Authority. So we would go through Manchester. This is in the 80s. And they'd go, there was a shooting in the playground. We were going to different places to eat, and, the 7-Eleven. The police would say, don't go down these streets. That's how bad it was in the 80s.
Northside for me was like, in fact, I was there today. I go back to Riverview Park. I took some of the most amazing pictures. The observatory's there. And it was like to all of us on Northside, the park, and the observatory was like ours. Like we see somebody pull in with a different car, and we're like,
those were the days, right?
Right. But now I'm at peace there. Me and my wife go in there. I'm in there. I live in Warrendale. I'm in there at least 3 times a month. And in the summertime, I do that Jazz Under the Stars, Riverview Park. I go to that every chance I get.
Get on.
Me and my wife, we go to church. We stop and we get a little food at T-Bones out there at Wexford. And then we go up the park and have a little picnic, listen to jazz.
No, that's great. So now you're 24. What were you thinking when you applied?
So way before that, when I was in high school, you had asked me a question before. Our teachers, one of them was Harry Stevens. He was my science teacher and my football coach. And I'm friends today. I just took him to lunch a little bit ago.
Nice.
What a great guy. He was right out of college.
Wow.
He wasn't much older than me, maybe 3 years.
Wow.
Right?
That's close.
Yes. So as it turns out, Harry liked me. And he told me this story the last time I was with him. He said, Champ, did I ever tell you this? And I said, what's up? He always called me Champ, and it made me feel good. You know? He said, did I ever tell you this? He said, when you won the Golden Gloves for the 3rd time, he said, I took this girl out on a date, and that's where I took her to the Golden Gloves. He said, and you know what? I married her. Somebody that would go and watch a fight with you, and she stayed there and didn't complain, you're marrying her.
Wow.
Because it's like with my wife, Michelle, it takes a special woman. She done what ball with me. Being the commissioner, I get calls constantly.
Right.
But going back to that, so all our teachers, except for him, he's the only one that said it to me, including the counselors, because they didn't talk to us about college because they knew we were all going into trades because our dads were in the trades.
Right.
So I had every shop you can have. I had metal shop, wood shop. We even had home building at the old show, Perry Show, built 2-story homes, and electric shop. I had all the shops.
That is so cool,
all the shops, gym, 2 times a day, right? And, it was one of them things where, Al, I knew I wanted to do this. I see my dad get up every morning.
Right.
I see my grandpap, when I was younger, down his house, get up every morning, put the work boots on, the weld hat on backwards, lunch buckets, thermos. You didn't leave without your thermos.
Right.
Because we worked in some cold weather.
Oh, yeah.
But through that, I was still trying to figure out do I want to be a steamfitter or do I not?
Yeah, well, you're young. You got all these ideas.
The way I got with the right before I got into steamfitters, the way that I got with when I was with the garbage men, the way that I got with the steamfitters was, even the garbage men, was the snow was so bad in 75, 76.
It was.
They couldn't get the garbage down from the side slopes. So the city put an ad in the paper for snow removal. So I'm like, I can shovel. And the day before, that was Monday, Friday, I was down at the State Building talking to the Marine Recruiter.
That's
I was
right
ready
where
to
the
go.
press was, right there.
I know you know. So he wasn't in, and I talked to every other recruiter in there, the only thing I wanted was, it was the end of Vietnam War.
Right.
All I wanted was a shot at Special Forces and a shot at the boxing team.
Yeah.
Pretty fair, right?
Right.
That guy did not lie to me. When he finally got there, he said, "Kid, I'm going to tell you something. The only thing I'm going to guarantee you, it's wartime's almost over.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm going to guarantee you is you will get home after boot camp." I'm like, "What?" So I went home and talked to my dad about it, and lo and behold, and this happened to me my whole life. You want to talk about being blessed?
Yeah, I am.
That Sunday was an ad in the paper for that snow removal. I go down, and they said be there at 8 o'clock or whatever. I was there at 6:30.
Yeah.
I'm an early person.
Me too.
And it was around the building. It was around the building to get the jobs. And how many could they hire? Don't I run into a friend that works in the city county building, and he goes, "Rick, what are you doing?" And I'm like, anyhow,
working.
I get the job. You know how that works in
Yeah,
Pittsburgh.
I do.
But I go over there.
And you know what? To interrupt, I was working there in '74. Got hot full time January 6, 1975. So I know about the snow in downtown Pittsburgh
knew.
in '75.
You knew.
We worked night turn on the Post Gazette. Before we went in, the streets were full of snow.
Yeah.
We were having snowball fights.
But you're talking feet.
No, it was
not
2, 3
inches
feet.
anymore.
Yeah.
It was feet back then.
Right.
You talk about the
Well, we
the
even
environment.
shoveled out spots to park our cars.
Sure.
So when you
It
talk
might take
about
you a whole
doing it,
shift to shovel your spot, right? And then put a chair there like they do in the north side.
yeah,
I think that's a north side thing or a Bloomfield or it's a Pittsburgh thing.
Yeah, it is.
Because I've never seen it anywhere I've ever been.
I've been around too.
Well, New
no,
York's
but I
pretty-
remember those times exactly and how cold it was.
Well, guess what? It wasn't for snow removal. It was garbage removal, and they didn't tell us. So I go into the building, and it's over in the strip, and I go in, and I go up to the guy at the counter, and I said, "Hey, I'm here for snow removal." And he said, "Yeah, stand over there," and blah, blah, blah. And it was a play on things,
Yeah.
I kept going back to him and saying, he was sending all these guys out the door and out the door. Anyhow, I go, and finally he tells me, "You go with this 5
Go
guys.
over there. Yeah.
Go with these 5 guys that walk out the door. There's a garbage truck. They're holding the door open, and you have one guy laid behind everybody. Guess who that was?
You.
So anyhow, I walked back and I said to the guy, "Snow removal on a garbage truck?" He said, "You want the job or not?" I said, "Yes, sir." I went out. I climbed up there. You're not going to believe this. Who I was on the truck with? The famous fighter from Pittsburgh that they called the Spoiler, Charlie Burley.
No way.
He's on my truck. And I don't know it's him, but I know of him from my trainer, Jack
Right.
Stuttermeyer, and all the old guys.
Yeah.
Rooney, I was friends with Rooney because of my
Sure.
trainer, Jack Stuttermeyer. And
What a small world.
so his legs were shut. So he's riding on a back truck. His job is just when we throw it in,
Show
and
it.
he
Shovel it up.
shovels it up. But back then, you got to remember, there was no plastic bags. We had a burlap. We would leave there, go to the White Tire, eat breakfast.
I remember the
go up
White
to
Tire.
Carrick High School, go in the boiler room, put our rags on, all the way up to here. I had leathers around me.
Yeah.
My first day, I was like, I can't believe I'm doing this, right?
What did I get into?
I mean, I wasn't rich growing up. I mean, we had powder milk too, at times.
Right.
My dad was laid off a lot, and it was bad for construction.
Right.
Being a steam fitter, and he traveled a lot, to
Yeah,
different
he'd be
places.
gone at times,
And
yeah.
leave 5 boys with my mom.
I know.
Nobody would babysit us, not even my grandma. Right? But anyhow, there was only
Hey,
one
you're
girl.
alive to tell it.
There was only one girl in the neighborhood that would babysit him, and she was friends with us all the way up until she passed. And her name was Drake.
Ah, nice.
Mary Ann Drake. And Mary Ann Drake loved us.
Wow, what a woman.
So, when you're doing all that, and I get that job. And so from that job, I'm fighting again.
Yeah.
And he's teaching me.
Yeah, you're
things.
boxing, learning from the best.
And one of the best things I learned from him was how to not be nervous before the fight, what to do. I said, Charlie, when we became instant friends.
Yeah.
But the first 2 days, I did not know who it was.
Yeah.
One of the guys said to me, "Hey, Rick, you know who that is?" I said, "No." He said, "That's Charlie Burley." I said, "No." Because I seen pictures of him when he was younger. I seen videos of him.
Oh, you had to.
Sugar
yeah.
Ray Robinson
He
ducked
fought
him.
him. I know.
No, he ducked him.
Oh, that's right.
He
I
was
read
a
the book
spoiler.
on him.
Nobody would fight him.
No, you're
They didn't
right.
want to lose.
Right.
So we talked, had a great time. The most important thing I learned that I do today, and I will do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
I do it every Thursday. I go to the movies by myself. I said, Charlie, I get so nervous the day before the fight. And he never hesitated. He said, go to the movies. He said, that's
Get
2
out.
hours, 2.5 hours that you won't think about that fight.
What a brilliant idea.
And I do that to this day.
No
When my
way.
brain starts to get overload,
Yeah.
I pull my phone out right where I'm at, and I hit the movie, where you can look up the theaters
Yeah.
and the things, and I go, oh, I'm going to 7:15.
There you go.
I did it last week.
Get out.
Yeah, I'm the only one in the theater on Thursdays.
Wow.
I ain't telling the secret, but
Okay.
anyhow, Thursdays is the best day to go. All right.
I
So
appreciate
through
it.
that, after I fought Jimmy Scanlon, famous Jimmy Scanlon
Yeah.
from the north side, that was Ironhead's right hand man.
Yeah.
He comes up to my dad after a fight because me and it was Jackie Hellman fought,
Yeah.
Joe Hellman's brother.
Yeah.
And he had been the reigning champion for 3 years.
Okay.
And then I come out of retirement because I got married and had a kid, and then that
Right.
didn't work out, and blah, blah, blah. So I needed this. And I found out that the Nationals were going to be in Honolulu, Hawaii.
Nice.
I'm thinking, I'm never going to get to Honolulu, Hawaii. This is my only shot. And I did my best.
Yeah.
So I fight Jackie, and it was a great fight. We got a standing ovation, 10,000 people. There was 10,000 people at the Golden Gloves.
Watching your fight.
And they stood on their feet, and we stood toe-to-toe.
Wow.
The only reason I beat him, because I fought inside, and he was wide,
Get out.
right? And Joe, at one point, I have a tape of it, because my uncle recorded it.
Right.
And Joe, his brother, still doubted it after all them years. I sent him the tape, and he texted me back. He said, "You're right, you won."
He saw the tape
He's an
again.
honest dude. He's an
Yeah,
honest dude.
that's great.
Oh, I knocked Jackie down. As soon as he got off, as soon as the bell rang, he ran over at me, attacked me.
Yeah.
I moved to the side, hit him with an overhand right, left hook. I dropped him.
Wow.
I turned to my dad with my hands up like this, and he was bouncing behind me. He bounced right back up,
Yeah.
And I could hit hard. I had a lot of knockouts.
Right.
I had 26 knockouts.
You're in great shape. What do you do? I know you work out and you look fantastic.
So, my whole life has been this. That was my saving grace my whole life.
that was like therapy for you.
There was a lot of hard times. It was more than therapy.
Okay.
It was knowing I could protect myself on the north side.
Yeah, you
Whether-
needed to. Yeah.
Whether in the house or outside the house.
Well, with 4 other brothers,
It
right?
was always a challenge,
Yeah.
and I was little. I broke my leg the first year I played football for Nativity. My femur, I couldn't have weighed more than 55 pounds. At Nativity Grade School, they wanted to show some senior that just started playing,
Yeah.
how to tackle. They were
Yeah.
trying to make him, they were trying to embarrass him. Send up one of your fast backs from the JVs. He broke my leg, tackled me from behind. I got by him the first 2 times.
Yeah.
When I slowed down, he hit me from behind. I felt my femur breaking in midair.
No way.
Then they
That's
had me
terrible.
walk. Back then, you got to be 67.
Yeah.
They get up, you got a Charlie horse. I broke my femur. I walked halfway across Perry Field with 2 guys holding me
No way.
and that leg down, and made it worse.
You are tough.
Made it worse.
Hey, this will inspire you. You never quit.
Don't quit. So I played baseball that next summer, but I was out of my 5th grade. I missed my whole 5th grade.
Wow.
With that, I was in traction at Bellevue Hospital for 3.5 months. Every day, put a 2-pound weight. The bone went up like this.
Wow.
It shot up and ripped my muscles and
Yeah.
everything, so that all needed to heal. 3.5 months there, then I had a body cast on. From here down that whole knee, they didn't plate you back then. And they didn't want your hips to turn. My whole summer, I was if I got outside, it was on the porch, and my dad would take me out because they had a bar in between.
How'd
and
you
set me on
survive
the table.
that? Yeah.
Here's how I survived. I am very proficient in making,
Okay.
whether it be models, leather stuff,
Yeah.
drawing. I have done that my whole life.
Ah,
I still
okay.
do stuff like that.
Do you? That's
When I
so
need
cool.
to think, I can paint like that.
Yeah.
I can do
That's
anything.
my famous Pittsburgh artist,
Yes.
John O'Prasak.
Yeah,
He paints with Monongahela sand in there.
right. So that's what I'm saying. So you have to learn to be resilient. Like they already gave up a lot of their time for me.
Yeah.
My mom and dad my mom gave up her bed.
Yeah.
And slept in my bed upstairs, and I slept with my dad for the 4 months that I was
Wow, just to heal.
8 months. And I had a tutor. They had a tutor come in that was 87 years old. She slept most of the time. I didn't learn. I got to 6th grade, and I didn't know nothing. I didn't know anything.
Really?
They're up at the board and writing they're doing fractions and all this stuff. I'm like, oh. She didn't teach me anything. But anyhow, that's how it went. But when I ended up, when I finally decided, I wanted to be a steamfitter like
Yeah.
the rest of them. I buckled down. I took the test.
Yeah.
And I passed the test in 1970. My class is 77.
Yeah.
And I graduated from apprentice school in '88 from the steamfitters local.
Yeah.
Which we have the new Union Hall out there in
It's
Harmony,
amazing.
PA.
We did boxing last year there. It was
We did it this year,
incredible.
too.
I know.
Yeah, we did it all this year here. Golden Gloves is always there. Them guys couldn't be any better friends
they were
to
great.
boxing.
Yeah.
And I like to think I have a little bit to do with it, being it's my
Yes, you
union.
do.
But I was so proud to have them fights. The first time we built, when we dedicated the building, Kenny Broadbent, the business manager, looked
Yeah.
at me and he said, "We're going to have fights there?" I said, "Yep," and we did. We had pro show there. Mary Casimiro won her
Yeah.
title there, and defended it.
Yeah.
So she fought there twice. And Mary, by the way, is fighting up at Madison Square Garden
Right.
on, I think it's July 11th. It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to Madison Square, but she's fighting in Madison Square.
She's a great
on an
fighter.
all-girl pro show.
Wow.
It's all girls.
That's the first ever, I think.
Serrano Taylor,
Yeah,
the third fight.
she's unbelievable.
She's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, see, I'm blessed. Danny Bodish, we just had fights the other night.
Right.
Young Danny Bodish, Sal, Johnny Spells.
Yeah.
I mean, we got all these great young fighters coming
Oh,
up through.
sure.
We have the policeman from my neighborhood. Now, he didn't win. Devin Siegfried.
Yeah.
He's at Northern Region. He's a great guy. He's got a great girlfriend and family and mom and dad and all
And
that
he
stuff.
likes me and Smoking Jim in Pittsburgh Sports Line. We
Yes.
shout out to him all the time.
Listen
He's
to me.
great.
Real quick little side story.
Yeah, go ahead.
So as it turns out, I got pulled over in Wexford one day, and it's drizzling out. It's around the holidays last year. And I'm like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
I see the lights in the back, Northern Region. So I pull in one of the parking lots, blah, blah, blah. The guy comes up and he says, "Sir, can I have your thing?" I said, "What did I do?" He said, "Well, you weaved over the line, but..." I'm looking at him and said, "You pulled me over for weaving over the line." I said, "I was probably texting."
Yeah.
And he didn't know how to take me, right?
Right.
Right? So anyhow, he takes my things, he goes back. It's the quickest ticket I ever had. He walks back 2 seconds later, gets out of the car, he walks back. I thought he was going to say there was something wrong with my license or my
Yeah,
car.
yeah.
He said, Devin already texted me. He seen when I put your license plate in. He knows your truck. He called me and said, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Right?
It's a family-friendly show. Don't use those words.
That's the commission. What did I say?
No, you didn't. I'm just
okay.
saying, yeah.
Yes.
No, with the police getting you and stuff, it's crazy.
So anyhow, his name was Lopez. He has that podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Ish.
Yeah.
So we had a good talk about that the last time we were together,
No,
But,
that's great. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah.
Yes, Ish, it's called the Relentless Project.
Right.
And it has to do with people very similar to why I think you brought me here.
Yeah.
To be relentless in life,
Well, here's what I do. I bring all my guests. You're the 83rd show to
Yeah.
inspire others.
Yeah.
Because we're just regular people
Yeah.
and we do amazing things.
Well, I don't know if I can inspire anybody, but I got to tell you
Yes, you
something.
will. The last 2 minutes, I'll have you tell how to inspire people. But let's get to you started boxing again, and you had
So
success.
I had success. Jimmy Scanlon asked my dad what I was doing. I spent a year with the Boilermakers. He got me a job with the Boilermakers for
Yeah.
1 year. And then in 76, 77, I got in the Steamfitters. And I got 47 years in. I'm retired steamfitter now. I got
Right.
47 years in. There's 4 generations. Hopefully this year there'll be a 5th generation.
Yeah.
With a lot of other generations, the Toots and the Bearsleys, and there's a lot of
the
people.
name. You
there.
got an arm list of those.
An arm
yeah.
list of guys.
Yeah.
So I get in there and I fit like a glove.
Sure. It's
And
in your blood.
It was in my blood. Like I knew everybody before I get in because hearing about their names at the dinner table.
Yeah.
I knew who everybody was
and
messed
then
up.
we had union picnics. Like I never was going to work at the press or
Yeah.
anything, but I knew him from the picnics and
Yes.
everything else.
And
Just
so
the camaraderie there.
It helped. I worked. A lot of these guys were journeymen,
Yeah.
and when you're an apprentice,
you're
you
an
work with a
apprentice.
journeyman,
Yeah.
And so it was kind of great for me. Long story short, I did really well there, and I became a pretty proficient at welding. That was my forte.
Oh,
and I was a TIG welder, so when I went out of town, like nuclear welder,
Yeah.
when I went out of town, I had a lot of certs, like down at BVBS.
Sure.
I was down there. I was there for years because of my certs.
You must have been great then,
And I
because
tell-
I heard
I wasn't
I
great.
heard about guys like you.
Yeah, well, I learned from a lot of our travelers, from down south.
Right.
They knew how to walk that cup and whip that and feed that wire at the same time.
Sure.
So I was blessed. God, again, art.
Yeah.
There's an art to
No,
welding.
well-
It's a puddle. You're washing a puddle. You're making a design with a puddle. You want it all to look the same.
Right.
And all my wells look like a dime high and a dime wide. It looked like somebody did it with a machine.
Wow, that's
know?
great. Well, I believe in God, and He has a plan for us.
Yeah.
I don't know what His plan is, but He's helped me through my whole career, and I never thought I'd be on TV.
Yeah.
And look at what I'm doing here.
at you.
So I'm able to do it
You know?
and put good people out here with their story.
Otherwise, who would know about us?
Right.
Right?
Right. We're trying to do that.
Not that I'm anything special, but I'm just saying,
Hey.
there's a handful. All you hear on TV is what?
Ah,
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
House is on fire. This going up. Trump this, that, and the other.
no, well,
Take a
that's
breath.
why I'm talking about what people do day to day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you ended up having a great boxing career, and you said you won Golden Gloves three
Several
times or whatever, and
Yeah.
went and fought in Honolulu.
Yeah.
How did you become the boxing commissioner?
Well, you know who ended up winning that year in Honolulu?
No.
Thomas Hearns.
No way.
That's who won the 139-pound division.
Wow.
small
Thanks
world.
for putting the cherry on top
Yeah.
there.
So as it turns out, after that, the next year, I went to the fights, and they moved them from Monzo's to.
I went to Monzo's
Yes.
because I had friends in Golden Gloves.
Yeah.
I was too pretty to fight, so I'm not the brightest guy. I was
Yeah.
center on the football team. I got hit in the head every play.
Yeah. Well, so
And it hardly affected
so
me.
you know how we feel.
Yes, I do, a little bit.
So the funny part about it is that when I went to the fights the next year, and they moved them to CCAC on North Side.
Yeah.
And I go there, and the commissioner at the time was Reese Achatoli.
Okay.
And Reese come up to me and he said, "Hey, one of the judges didn't show up. Will you judge?" I said, "Yes." Next, he said, "You did really good. Will you come back?" I said, "Yes." And it went like that. And then one day he came to me, another famous fighter from Pittsburgh was a referee here. His name was Bobby Baker. And Bobby
Yeah.
Baker was a hell of a fighter, but his knees were going bad. And Bobby Baker refereed a lot of my fights.
Sure.
Just like the shoemaker. What's his name out there on the end of Lawrenceville?
Oh,
Palermo.
yeah.
Bucky Palermo.
Yeah.
All right. I had Buck McTiernan.
You know what?
I had
That's
some pretty
another
famous
show.
guys.
We got too many famous people here. We're winding down with about
Okay.
2 minutes to go.
Okay.
And
I'll tie that in.
All right.
So as it turns out, he asked me to do that. I said, okay, I will try it. He said, good, be down Western Penitentiary next Saturday. And that's where I started. I refereed in penitentiaries for 10 years.
Wow.
So cut to this. Next thing you know, I'm refereeing. I've done a lot of world championship fights.
And
10
you
world
did pro
championship
fights and everything.
Spataforas. I got over
Pittsburgh
500
Kid,
fights.
yeah.
And the next thing you know, I end up getting a call from the governor's office when Andy Kid DePaul died, who was the
Yeah,
commissioner.
that was so sad.
And they brought us into. They brought me to the Capitol.
Yeah.
And they talked to me and they said, "Hey, we're getting. A lot of people say they want you to be the commissioner. One of the commissioners here in Pennsylvania for
Western
the fight game."
Pennsylvania.
No, I'm the whole state.
Are you? I
Yeah,
didn't
I'm the whole
know
state.
that. I wondered.
Not just here. I just happen to live here. And Andy lived here, and it's kind of that pattern.
Good connection.
There's two other ones. They're out there.
In Philly.
In Philly, right? Rudy Battles is one in Philly.
Yeah.
So, and Joel is the other guy around Harrisburg. So as it turns out, I'm in my, I'm at the end of my second term.
Right.
I'm over my second term, and supposedly on May 7th, I'm going back out there to get reappointed for another 4-year term, God willing.
Congratulations. And we got about 30 seconds.
Okay.
How would you inspire somebody else to try to do what you've done in the fight game and even in work with trades?
Don't quit. Keep getting back up, no matter how hard they're pounding on you. Keep getting back up, but you got to have a little bit of a plan. And the other most important thing you got to have is you got to have faith, brother. I've had faith my whole life.
Amen.
Not what the nuns taught me. I got my own faith.
Right here, yeah.
He's always been in here for me from day one. I'd said more Hail Marys than Our Fathers before I get home so I could get trimmed. And you know what? 9 times out of 10, he saved me. But this is a guy that will not give you more than you can handle.
Hey, I believe it. You just heard Rick inspire you. He inspired me, and I'm normally inspired. He took me to another level. I hope you follow through with this. Thank you for watching our shows and the
You
great
forgot
feedback.
one more thing.
What?
Who's going into the PA Boxing Hall of Fame?
Oh, my goodness. Check it out, the Western Pennsylvania
That's
Hall.
October 12th out in Philadelphia.
This guy is a Hall of Famer. So
Can you
look what
imagine
he
that?
inspired you. He didn't quit on anything. He's a Hall of Famer. See you next time for our 84th Talking Machine show.